The Data Maintenance Module, or DMM, is now around 2 years on the market and supporting Corporate Modeler 2009.2, 2011.1, and also the Corporate Modeler 2011.3, which will be released soon. The Data Maintenance Module, or DMM, is now around since 2 years and supporting Corporate Modeler 2009.2, 2011.1, and also the new released Corporate Modeler 2011.3. The DMM is focusing on 2 specific roles. The first one is the information owner. Here we're providing role-based views with easy access to the relevant data on a single web page. So that's very important because the user does not need to know the meta model, they don't need to know where this information is stored. They simply have one single page where they can view and edit their information. It's also a very intuitive user interface designed with the occasional and untrained user in mind. So they can use it without any training immediately. The second role that we are focusing here is the Enterprise Architect. The Enterprise Architect has a very effective and secure segregation and governance of valuable and confidential EA information. I'm speaking here about risk assessment, performance assessment, for example. It also overcomes the acceptance barrier, avoiding complex user interface and irrelevant data, even for the Enterprise Architect. You can also complement your EA repository with automatic periodic data feeds from other Casewise models or from third-party sources. Like in one example, we have used a CMDB and loading monthly their server and installed software applications into the Casewise repository. You can also monitor ongoing data maintenance progress and subscribe to change notification messages, so you're always up to date what's going on in your architecture. And finally, the Enterprise Architect can enjoy the updated EA information and has a reliable basis for its analysis and its recommendations. So the DMM can be used not only for the enterprise architecture team, but also for process management, governance, risk and compliance, application portfolio, or any other project, because our aim is to get your repository data up to date. Now, how can we do this? First of all, the view from the information owner point of view. As I mentioned before, the information owner is getting an easy to use interface. You see it on the right hand side. That's one single page that the user gets immediately after his login. He can see his available views in case he's not only the application owner but also the process owner or the compliance owner, the risk manager, whoever. And he can see his owned objects. The user can only see records and properties that he or she has access to, that he is responsible to. And I'm speaking here about not category-based access, I'm speaking here about field-level access control. The user-defined help that you can see here in the tooltip text is providing additional information of each property, and this is used by Corporate Modeler as well, so you can actually reuse this information in our web interface. We have also field validation that supports consistent data entry, and you see the right marks on the screenshot here. So it means either it shows you invalid data, for example if you have set the category to mandatory and the undefined is not a valid field. So therefore you need to set a proper category, not undefined. Also other values are invalid. For example, if you take a look to the retire date, if I type in no date, it's obviously not valid. So that helps to build a consistent repository. The end user can access the DMM via different browsers and also via mobile devices. In this example on the right hand side you can see our iPad view where we have the same functionality, where you can edit information. In this case we edit the section directly in line on the same page. As I mentioned before, the information owner does never leave one page, and here you can not only change the object, in this case the organization name and description, but also to erase the information on the right hand side, the little checkboxes. And this information is actually on the intersection objects. So that means you can mix and match different properties from different information levels. Then we have also our enterprise architect. Of course, he has different type of interface because they need to define the type of access control. For example, can select which Windows group should access which view. The enterprise architecture can also limit the data or scoping the data based on user tagging. So you can set up your own tagging records. You are assigning the records to your data, and then the view takes automatically this information and presenting the end user, the information owner, with this filtered information. The enterprise architect can also define the access rights on object property level and can even customize the input rules. So you can set it if it should be mandatory, it could be restricted to read only, you can change the labels, can add or customize the user-defined help. So a lot of ways of making the access for the information owner as easy as possible. The enterprise architect can also create different views for different roles, and of course using the same object type with completely different set of settings. So that means you can create a process view with a process, and you can create an application portfolio view where the process is as well in it, but with completely different set of capabilities like create, delete, update, make certain properties read only or even visible, and so on. Then of course the enterprise architect is getting notified on changes within his view. And here's an example on the right hand side where you can see the old value, the new value of the retire date, the name category, validation, description, and so on. So that gives the enterprise architect a good overview of what data has changed and when, what was the old and new data, and he can interact immediately if something going wrong. Here, as I mentioned before, the DMM solution is not only for enterprise architecture but for BPM, GRC, and many other areas, and you will find maybe slightly different benefits for these different areas, and you can find them on our website. If you visit datamaintenancemodule.com, you will see different role-based benefits for each of the different solutions. With DMM, we're focusing on keeping modeling data up to date and to make it a reliable source of truth for your analysis.